Davante Adams is a New York Jet, and I am absolutely certain Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
The man your man could smell it.
Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
Streaming live on YouTube.
You're gonna break up with me because of what I do on the radio?
Here's Theo Dorsey.
Good people. Did you see that Monday Night Football? I hope you didn't. That second half was miserable. The first half wasn't even that great. The Bills take down the Jets 23-20, sending the folks out in the Meadowlands into panic mode, ultimate panic mode, 2-4, 1-2 at home this season. And what do the Jets do? They go out and surprise Aaron Rodgers, number 8, who had no clue, has no decision-making operations around that franchise. They surprise their quarterback with his favorite weapon, Davante Adams, in the trade market. Isn't it nice, C-Cat, who's on the other side of the glass on the ones and twos? C-Cat, isn't it nice when somebody just surprised, like you had no clue, like, oh my God, was Davante Adams even available for trade?
It's like the Jets are in a relationship with Aaron Rodgers and they came home with flowers one random Tuesday night.
Yeah, like, oh, just because?
Exactly.
Not because I've stunk up the joint and literally thrown game-stealing interceptions to the other team in my past 2 primetime games. Not because of that, because that would be taking accountability for my own actions. You guys are just doing this just because.
They love their QB. They want to take care of him.
Oh, my.
Here's the old flame.
Oh, my
Back
gosh.
again renewed.
I absolutely love this love story between Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, is not, puppeting anything in the Jets organizations. He doesn't have his hands in anything at all. By the way, who was his leading receiver last night? Alan Lazard. 6 catches, 114 yards. He caught that Hail Mary touchdown.
Sure did.
Yeah, that was pretty.
You're familiar with him.
Yeah, he must have some kind of familiar. What was it? Who did Lazard play for before?
Green Bay
Packers. Okay, Green Bay Packers. See, because I forgot how that kind of that's just a coincidence that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback and Alan Lazard is on the Jets. He didn't really have a huge market this offseason. Who's the offensive coordinator for the Jets, C-Cat?
I know that one, Nathaniel Hackett.
Nate Hackett? No, wait, no, because Nathaniel Hackett, he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos.
Did bad.
He flamed out. It was
Real
absolutely
bad.
Terrible. And so you're telling me the year after he literally had one of the worst head coaching jobs we've seen in modern history, he pops up the next year as offensive coordinator for the Jets. Where was he a coordinator before?
He was a coordinator with the Wait a second. The Green Bay Packers? Wait, the Green Bay Packers.
No, hold on. Let me look that up. There's no way that could be true. Let me see. Go to Google. Nathaniel Hackett, Nate Hackett, offensive coordinator.
It's unprofessional, Theo. You should know this.
Okay, let me see. Nate Hackett. No, there's no way. There's no way Nate Hackett came from the Packers. You're telling me Nate Hackett and Alan Lazard were former Packers?
Believe it or not.
Well, there's no way Randall Cobb was, even though he's not on the team anymore, because randomly Aaron Rodgers, when he went to the Jets, they also went out and got Randall Cobb. Was he ever in the green and yellow?
Well, that's where he made a name for himself, as a matter of fact.
It seems like a lot of Packers are ending up with the Jets. I don't think Aaron Rodgers had anything to do with this, though. And by the way, if you don't know the breaking news that happened earlier this morning, yes, the New York Jets, following their 23-20 loss to the Buffalo Bills in primetime, and which was, again, just an ugly slugfest. I felt like at some point, Greg Zuerlein was in on punchline picks. He knew that C-Cat and I, in our punchline picks competition with Russo and Rizzo, we picked the over as our lock in the Jets and Bills game. The over, by the way, was 41, right? 41 and a half?
40 and a half.
40 and a half. So the teams were locked at 20 early in the third quarter. And C-Cat, you actually texted me. You said, yep, we're good to go. The lock is good because no matter what, if both teams have 20, all you need is one field goal, one safety, any kind of scoring that will end the game.
Someone's got to win the game.
Somebody's got to win the game. And then after Greg Zuerlein missed not one – first of all, Greg Zuerlein misses a field goal. Tyler Bass for the Bills misses a field goal. Greg Zuerlein turns around and hits another one off the uprights. And I'm like, the fix is in. They know that punchline picks, the consequences of it is the host of Theoretically Speaking, myself, Theo Dorsey, and C-Cat, or the host of Russo and Rizzo, which you can hear here from 4 to 6 p.m. every day on ESPN 106.3, Mike Rizzo and Colin Russo, will have to do stand-up comedy.
They want to hear the jokes.
They wanted to hear our jokes. Greg Zuerlein, who was a joke of a kicker last night, wanted to hear us, show off our ability to spread humor to the world. But eventually, Tyler Bass does get a field goal. The Bills do seal the deal against the Jets last night, and it all culminates in what we found out today. Who broke this news first? Was it Schefter or I think it was Ian Rappaport? Who cares at this point, right? It's out there. Aaron Rodgers got his wish. Davante Adams to the Jets for a conditional third-round pick that could turn into a second-round pick if a couple of things are hit. So there's two conditions to this trade that can turn it from a third-round pick to a second-round pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. And one of them is if the Jets end up in the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game. Interesting. Because we do know that the Jets are in win-now mode. We also know that entering the season, they had like the 13th shortest odds, maybe, to win the Super Bowl. They weren't even the favorite in their own division up until like the last week before the season. And now they're 2-3, a full 2 games back of the Bills. Plus, they've already lost the front end of the tiebreaker there. So they're really in a tough position. So they're going to have to fight for a wild card spot.
2-4 now.
Oh, I said 2-3. I was looking at the Dolphins' record. Yeah, they're third in the AFC East at 2-4 after falling last night. So they're a full 2 games back and a half game if you count that tiebreaker against the Bills. So at this point, C-Cat, you picked the Bills in the offseason to win the AFC East. Mm-hmm. I actually picked the Jets. Even with this addition of Davante Adams, I feel worse today about that as they're on this 3-game losing streak. Even with Adams coming in the door, can we just write off the fact that the Bills have the AFC East crown?
I think so, because we're still seeing the Bills flounder, and they still won the football game on the road. Last night wasn't Josh Allen's best game. They still took it home. I'm confident to say with the health problems of Tua Tagovailoa that, it's the Bills' division to lose.
The Bills aren't good, though. I still will say, I still argue the AFC East might be the worst division we have in the National Football League right now. Maybe the NFC West can contend with that, depending on what the Rams and Cardinals end up being like by the end of the year. I'm also out on the Niners. But the AFC East feels like the worst division in football. The Bills have yet to show any kind of semblance of true fight against a real contender in the NFL because I don't consider the Jets that, and they should have lost last night. Like, the Jets did enough to win that game, and really, if Aaron Rodgers connects with Mike Williams down the seam at the end of the game there, they honestly did enough to at least kick it to overtime and give themselves a chance at the end.
Yeah, a team that was probably better run and more equipped for late-game situations, they would win in that game.
Yeah.
The Bills did enough to lose that game, if you would.
The Bills absolutely gave the Jets every single chance to win that game. Greg Zuerlein, who has got to be kicking himself right now after the field goals he missed in big spots, and even Tyler Bass missing that extra point. Like, there were many of opportunities for the Bills to give this game away, puke it away to the Jets, but they weren't able to do so, and in comes their prize, Davante Adams. So today we asked the question, because this is really the question on the hearts of the front office of the Las Vegas Raiders and also fans around the league. Davante Adams to the New York Jets equals what? What will the Jets be this year? Because it's really just a one-year deal. The Raiders did not pay any of that salary. It'll go against the cap about $12 million to the Jets to have Adams on their squad, and that means next year, not guaranteed. The year after that, also not guaranteed. By the way, Rodgers was getting beat up last night, C-Cat. I don't even know if it's guaranteed that dude makes it through the year, let alone re-ups with the Jets next year.
Yeah, he gets slower and slower every time he hits the turf.
Man, he looked miserable out there last night. Absolutely miserable, and was crashing out on the podium. So the question is, with Davante Adams in the house, Davante Adams headed to the Meadowlands, what will the Jets accomplish in 2024? And to me, as a person that picked them to win the division in the preseason and now feels some kind of semblance in my heart to try and stick with that pick, even though everything in my right mind is going against it, I will say this. I looked at the AFC standings, C-Cat. I did a little research before the show and looked at the AFC standings, and there's a wide open door, even at 2-4, for the Jets to claw and fight their way back into this. There's a statistic out there. Only 26% of teams in NFL history have made the playoffs after starting 2-4. The Jets are 2-4 right now. The Bengals are also 2-4 right now. When I look at the AFC playoff race, here's the question you have to answer in your own mind. Who do you have more faith in this year? the Jets or the Bengals, because I do believe one of those two teams are going to find themselves in the wild card. I do believe one of those two teams are going to rehabilitate themselves, come back to some kind of semblance of we have it in us. Now we have to go put it out on the field on Sundays and scratch and claw and bite their way to 11 wins, 10 wins probably. And that will be enough to make the postseason. And between the Jets and the Bengals, C-Cat, I think the Jets actually make the playoffs this year. The New York Jets, with the addition of Davante Adams, against all common sense, against everything that is within me, everything I saw last night, from the kicker failing them time after time, from Aaron Rodgers not only crashing out on the field and throwing yet another interception, that's 4 in the past 2 games, all on primetime television, but then also crashing out on the podium afterwards. Can we hear Aaron Rodgers right quick? Aaron Rodgers, who I'm always a big proponent. This is the reason why I hated Ben Roethlisberger outside of the off-the-field stuff, which was the diabolical. Ben Roethlisberger was one of the biggest finger-pointing, point the blame at everybody else. It's never my fault. I never want to take accountability for it. I'm going to pout, I'm going to scream, and I'm never going to be a guy that owns up to it. I think accountability is one of the main culprits of what delineates you from a man from a boy. You have to have accountability. Here's Aaron Rodgers on the final throw and what happened between him and Mike Williams.
Allen's down the seam, Mike's down the red line. So I'm looking at Allen. He puts his hand up, 3 guys go with him. So I'm throwing a no look to the red line. And when I just peek my eyes back there, he's running an inbreaker. So it's got to be down the red line.
So were you throwing that Mike to come back to it?
No, I was throwing it to the red line, but when I got to about here, I realized he was running an inbreaker, so I had to kind of adjust it a little bit. But the play is 2 guys vertical, 1 guy down the seam, 1 guy on the red line.
Explain that to me, Theo. What is Rodgers saying right then and there to the media about the last play of the game?
He's throwing Mike Williams under the bus. He's saying that Mike Williams ran the wrong route, and he had to adjust his throw at the last minute in a way that converted into Teron Johnson of the Buffalo Bills getting an interception. He's saying Mike Williams was supposed to run to a certain spot, and Rodgers thought he would, and because of Williams' mistake is the reason why they lost the game. 2 things on that, C-Cat. 2 things. Because it's funny how now that he knows, by the way, because the reporting came out, Ian Rappaport reported before this game even kicked off, Rodgers knew Davante Adams would be coming. That deal was already put into place. So that's number 1. We did notice, Davante Adams is with Aaron Rodgers right now. Did we see earlier on Pat McAfee's show, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, I don't want to promote it because I don't want you to turn away from this, but Aaron Rodgers apparently right on the Pat McAfee show right now. Here was the big surprise on the Pat McAfee show. Aaron Rodgers acting absolutely, not puzzled at Davante Adams being in the house, but here's Pat McAfee and the folks being surprised by Davante Adams being with him in the interview.
What's that? Well.
Here he is.
Hey, good to see you, Tay. Good to see you, man. Congrats.
What's up, fellas? Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
That doesn't strike me as a guy that didn't already know he was going to be a Jet, not just now, but 2 weeks ago when he canceled that Kay Adams interview. He knew he was going to be a New York Jet, and it was already struck in place. And there you have it, the big, nice reunion, which I'm happy for Aaron Rodgers. He got his wide receiver, but I also am disgusted at Rodgers post-game because not only are you doing something that you should have handled in-house, hey, if it really was Mike Williams' fault, that's not something you air out on the post-game press conference days. I don't care if they asked you about it or not. You just say, hey, it was a miscommunication. We'll handle that going forward. And then you talk to Mike Williams in the locker room. Aaron Rodgers had plenty of time this year, C-Cat, this offseason and in the preseason to build chemistry with all of these new wide receivers and weapons he's never played football with.
Yeah.
But what the hell was Aaron Rodgers doing? Taking trips to Egypt? Sitting out preseason games though you've only played 4 snaps with this team? Oh, but you got it all figured out, all right? Like he's the guy that has so much knowledge, right? And this is not even a rant against Aaron Rodgers, the player or the thinker. I don't give a damn about any of that stuff the way that other people care so much about it. What I hate is throwing your teammate under the bus, especially a guy like Mike Williams who's on the latter end of his career that needs opportunities like this to get that next paycheck because now you're messing with the future of this guy's family as well. To throw him completely under the bus after you're saying it was a chemistry issue between the two of you, but guess who could have resolved that chemistry issue? the guy that's supposed to be the leader of that Jets franchise, who could have stepped out there and got more reps with Mike Williams. If it was Mike Williams' fault, it's your damn fault. Stop pointing out the mirror and pointing out the window and look in the damn mirror for once, Aaron Rodgers. But at least he got his guy, Davante Adams. It's a happy ending, at least for the guy, CK.
You know, I've been a defender of Aaron Rodgers. I don't understand the intense vitriol he gets from people that are sports fans and non-sports fans alike, but this is kind of inexcusable. It's awfully convenient that you complain about a chemistry and the ability of a target, of a receiver that you have to read your mind. The following day, you get the guy who has caught the most passes from you of all time in Davante Adams. It seems like those two instances happening back-to-back days is not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence at all. By the way, also not a coincidence.
Breaking news on ESPN 106.3 is brought to you by St. Lucie Battery and Tire. If your vehicle has issues with braking or other issues, get it fixed right now at St. Lucie Battery and Tire.
This, per Jordan Schultz.
He's been plugged in on the Jets a bunch these past couple of weeks.
The Browns are trading wide receiver Amari Cooper to the Bills.
Whoa!
Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills, and all it took was a third-round pick going to Cleveland. Again, this according to Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, an NFL insider who also has been plugged into the Jets. He's been breaking a lot of the Jets news. So we got two big receiver moves in one day.
Hey, Amari Cooper turned one offense around in his career already.
Oh, my gosh.
When he went to the Cowboys,
Yeah.
it completely changed the trajectory of that offense. I want to say that was maybe like 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Gosh. Coop to the Bills? See, I was waiting until later this week to say which team is one trade away from a Super Bowl, one trade away from the ultimate prize. Of course, a lot of minds would go to Aiden Hutchinson of the Detroit Lions, right? They get a pass rusher, they're right back in the mix. A lot of minds go to the Chiefs. They should have been the one trading for Amari Cooper. They're one trade away from securing the Lombardi. That was my deep cut. I didn't think it would happen. The Buffalo Bills going out and getting a true number one receiver for Josh Allen, a guy that can win on third downs. The main reason why the Bills offense has been struggling against these good teams is Josh Allen has not had that kind of security blanket, and he just got it in that trade. I don't know what the Bills' win total is. I don't know what their Super Bowl odds are, but they certainly should be shooting in the proper direction after that trade. That to me is a more impactful trade than Davante Adams to the Jets. Amari Cooper to the Bills is going to make more of a difference in the postseason as well as towards success in this year than Davante Adams to the Jets. Because Amari was getting the targets, he was getting open for the Browns, and he had a quarterback in Deshaun Watson that absolutely had no shot at getting him the ball because he doesn't care about football as much these days as he does about making appearances on Selling Sunshine. He's setting up his post-career days because all his money is guaranteed and everybody hates him. Amari Cooper just came the hell up, and so did the Buffalo Bills.
You know, this is just dropped on our plate here with Amari Cooper being shipped out of Cleveland. It reminds me of something that was talked about just yesterday on Unsportsmanlike that Chris Canty had to say about another massive playmaker on the Browns. Listen for it yourself.
Cleveland Browns, y'all need to trade Myles Garrett.
Ooh.
It's time. The Browns' offense is abysmal. I mean, they failed to score a touchdown in yesterday's loss to the Eagles. They still haven't scored more than 20 points in a game or gained 300 total yards of offense in a game. All 7 accepted penalties were on the offensive side of the ball, including back-to-back false starts with goal to go in a one-possession game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so here's the thing. That's not happening. Love Chris Canty. That's the big homie. The Browns aren't trading Myles Garrett. Just like the Raiders aren't trading Max Crosby. It's the heart and soul of your team. It's the only identifiable guy on your squad that people are rallying behind outside of Nick Chubb. And he's a player in his prime on the defense that you want to keep around for whatever you're going to do next. You're trying to get rid of Deshaun Watson, not Myles Garrett. That don't make sense.
But I think a seller's a seller, no?
No.
Like, is trading him away Amari Cooper not indicating the Browns are waving the white flag on 2024?
I believe they're getting value back for Amari Cooper, who is not in their long-term plans. Myles Garrett is still in the Browns' long-term plans.
All right.
That's all it is. I mean, I'm not refuting, again, Chris Canty, a much wiser man than me, Super Bowl champion. I'm not refuting that we would like them to. All I'm saying is the Browns ain't trading Myles Garrett. So aren't the Raiders aren't trading Max Crosby. They're not getting rid of these level of pass rushers. These are once-in-a-lifetime guys. Whatever you get back from Myles Garrett, you know what you wish you get out of that? Myles Garrett. You already got him. It ain't no need in resetting that hard. 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. Join the conversation here on Theoretically Speaking. All kind of wide receiving breaking news. Here's the question I pose to you. Which trade is more impactful? Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills or Davante Adams to the New York Jets? Both quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers, who faced off last night, clearly need more help at the wide receiver position. Well, less so for Aaron Rodgers. But Josh Allen really needed it, and he just got it today with Amari Cooper. 888-760-3776. 888-760-3776. Plus, answer to me, please. What are the Jets with Davante Adams now? What is the ceiling for them? Are they a Super Bowl contender? Are they just a team that'll make the AFC Championship game, or are they going to miss the playoffs? Hit us up on the Baptist Health Hotline. Are you experiencing foot and ankle pain and need to see an expert in the field? Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has a team of foot and ankle, orthopedic surgeons, and specialists who are regarded as leaders in their specialty. Visit BaptistHealth.net/ortho to learn more today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices Baptist Health Orthopedic Care combines its resources of experienced physicians and leading-edge treatments and technology to provide advanced orthopedic, foot and ankle, joint replacement, spine, and sports medicine care. Visit BaptistHealth.net/ortho for more information today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices conveniently located in Palm Beach County through the Florida Keys. Learn more by visiting BaptistHealth.net/ortho.
Man, I really wish we had an NFL insider booked for the show today. It would really help the show.
Yeah, because that's the thing. With all of this breaking news coming down the line, you're like, we need some intel from somebody who's been in that seat, who's made in-season trades, who's made acquisitions to help build up a contender. But do we know any?
I know a Mike.
Mike.
A lot of Mikes in my life.
Okay, my guy Mike Leota with the Orange Bowl. Mike Leota?
Not Mike.
How about
Leota.
Mike Rizzo? Mike Rizzo's a really smart guy. Russo and Rizzo.
He's not plugged into these teams.
Not plugged in, you're right. Big Browns fan. Mike Tannenbaum.
That's who it is.
Mikey T. And you know what? Mike Tannenbaum is going to pull up on us today. In about 5 minutes, we hear from former Jets GM Mike Tannenbaum, who's going to pull up and help us break down these two massive wide receiver trades. It's the second most important position in the NFL. The wide receiver position is clearly the second most coveted and important. We saw it in the NFL draft. We saw it with the way that wide receivers were paid this offseason, and we're seeing it right now with two teams. Look, there's two teams right now who are like, we need to win a Super Bowl this year in the AFC, and we don't have enough in the cupboard. And what was the one move they both made? The Jets and the Bills.
Got a receiver.
Went out and got a number one receiver. Anybody out there like the Evan Cohens of the world on Unsportsmanlike here from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., or anybody else out there that'll tell you the wide receiver position is overvalued. Wide receivers are not what moved the needle towards Super Bowl contention. We have two GMs that just told you today, two owners with their franchises who said we are one building block away, and they both went out and got number one wide receivers. That itself is telling.